Hello, my fellow readers. This is I, Dark Symphony 777, and this is going to be a more relaxing video. You can see there's just a plain screen of Best Girl right here. But I recently finished what's called inventory at my store where I work, and instead of doing a review, I want to do something more relaxing so I can just get back into the groove of doing reviews. Not to mention I have like a couple... I'm going to do the reviews, don't worry. They're going to start next week. But I got two videos that I'm going to upload this week besides the link video if you saw that. But this will be the first one. This is one that I've been wanting to do for a little bit because... to kind of give some context... when I first started out doing these reviews, there was a bucket list that I wanted to do. These are stories that I've been wanting to review, and I actually did all of them but one. And it's kind of sad that I never got a chance to review the last story, because I did want to talk about it, because I honestly, in my opinion, think it's the pitch perfect example of how to do a crossover story right. However, earlier in January, I went and found this. Total Drama Yugioh coming back by Dizzy May. Now, the fan fiction that I wanted to do was called Total Drama Yugioh. I was a big fan of that story. And I actually wanted to review that story. I can actually go down here. I actually posted a comment right there. And this video is going to be me just talking about it and want to see just show how much I am a big fan of this story. Do I think Total Drama Yugioh is like a great story? Quite honestly, it's more on the average side, but I love the idea. I love the execution of it. And most importantly, it was very entertaining. It was a very entertaining story. So, for those of you who don't know, because I'm literally going off memory. I'm trying to remember this story off of memory. This story takes place in Battle City. And for those of you who don't know who played that, who knows the Yu-Gi-Oh anime, Battle City is where Yu-Gi-Oh kind of exploded. Like, you had Duelist Kingdom for the anime. Not a lot of people liked it because it was basically Duelist Kingdom basically was summed up as like, you can win if you're bullshit enough. Like when Yugi had his giant soldier of stone attack the moon that got turned into a card. Yeah, it got turned into a card. Like, I'm dead serious. Just look up Attack the Moon. Like, just do it. Do it! But with the Total Drama side of things, it starts at the end of Total Drama Action, which is the second season. And this is not going to be a review. This is just going to be me. I'm only going to be talking a little bit about the plot, because for the most part, the plot is just Battle City. Chris offers a chance for like a certain number of players to basically compete in Battle City to get another $1 million, and to get like the title of King or Queen of Games from Yugi. And he picks the names, and he picks Gwen. Let's see. I'm trying to remember. He picks Heather first, but Heather like no, no, I ain't doing that. Then he picks Gwen. He picks let's see, Gwen, Duncan, Lashana, Trent, Jeff, and Justin. Yeah, those are the people. He picks those 6. They go off to Domino City. They learn from Yugi's grandfather. Yugi even shows them the Pharaoh and stuff like that, and even kind of explains the whole situation. They kind of take it well. It's like, oh damn, and then Gwen gets like cursed up in like the tabletop version. Why not they play Master Duel for her? And then they basically join Battle City. Like I said, in terms of actual plot, it's just the overall story is average, but I love the attention to detail of trying to emulate the anime, but also the what's the word for it? But also when it comes to duels, give it their own flair. Keep it like the anime, but making it as well written in a literary context as possible. Like you take something like Shadow Chasers, and it follows the anime's writing style to a T, but that kind of makes the story incredibly formulaic. And this was a complaint I had in the original Shadow Chasers. I don't know if that's going to come up in the sequels. Spoiler alert! I'm doing the rest of the Shadow Chasers stories. I don't. But when it came to the Shadow Chasers of emulating the writing style, it emulated it to the point where it became repetitive, boring, and it kind of caused the story to inadvertently suffer. But with Total Drama Yu-Gi-Oh!, it didn't have a duel every single chapter, and even to like the faith of certain duels, it actually, the duels actually extended into separate chapters. Like there was a chapter where if you know the Battle City tournament, there's a part where the villain Merrick takes over Joey and basically duels Yugi in the pier, and their legs are shackled up to an anchor, and whoever loses gets like dragged into the ocean and dies. That's actually very dark even for 4Kids, because they didn't even touch that part in 4Kids dub. We got Dan Green though. It's time to duel. But in this version, the same duel happens, but at the same time, Gwen duels a possessed Trent. I don't know if it's going to be the same in the context of this story, because it's going to be a redone version, so things may change, and there's no telling if everything's going to stay the same, so it may not be Trent. Who knows? And they're kind of dueling at the same time. It's not a tag duel. It's two individual 1v1 duels, but in the story, we're only seeing Gwen versus Trent. But Gwen constantly looks over and sees what's happening with Joey and Yugi. Because Trent and Joey's situations are completely different. Merrick possessed Joey, and with Trent, Merrick kind of twisted his mind. It's a thing. But this story is near and dear to my heart because I love the idea of the crossover. So, for those of you who don't know, crossovers are not really as popular as regular fan fictions. That's a given. Like, ask anyone who reads a lot of fan fiction. They will say they're not a big fan of crossovers. Why is that? Because, and this is just my theory. Like, I'm not gonna be the answer to everything. So, this is just what I think. When it comes to crossovers, the biggest question the authors must ask is, how do I cross over these two worlds in a way that makes sense and doesn't come off as forced? Because it doesn't matter how well written you write the rest of the story. If you cannot answer this question, the story fails right then and there. And I think that's what makes Total Drama Yu-Gi-Oh! Succeed where a lot of crossovers fail. Because I think, honestly, this is probably the best way to cross over these two types of shows. It's actually pretty ingenious. It's actually pretty ingenious to how it's written, to how they're crossed over. So to compare this to another story, let's take Fusion of Destinies. In Fusion of Destinies, that the Harry Potter Metroid story, it also had a pretty good way to cross over. We're introduced to a spell that brings weapons, like weapons from different time periods, to the current time period. But they have a failsafe that if it's dangerous enough, it'll bring the person best equipped to be able to solve it. So like you could bring, I don't know, like a car from like a pristine Model T and bring it to the modern day. Nothing will happen because it's just a car. But in the story, they used an example of someone bringing a nuclear warhead from World War II into a different time period, but the spell's failsafe kicked in and brought in one of the people who worked on that specific nuke to help defuse it. And that's the same thing that happened with Samus. Voldemort reached into the future, grabbed the last of the X-Parasites, but the failsafe kicked in and brought Samus with it. That's basically how Samus got wrapped up in that story. It's just basically she was basically just a failsafe for the spell that Voldemort used, despite the fact she did lose her memory in the process. I think that was Voldemort knowing about the failsafe and trying to do something about it. I don't know. That's like the only part of it that's like vague, because it's never really answered to why Samus lost her memory. I'm just thinking maybe Voldemort knew about the failsafe ahead of time and basically tried to stop it, and that caused Samus to lose her memory. That's just me. With Total Drama and Yu-Gi-Oh!, they happen in the same planet. Like it's in the same planet because Battle City takes place in Japan, and Total Drama takes place in Canada. And here's the really ingenious part. It does it sort of does a meta twist on the crossover, because the reason why the Total Drama contestants go to compete in the Battle City is publicity, because Chris was offered by going off memory, was offered by the company that is going to be airing the Battle City and wants some cross-promotion. And since Total Drama was a big thing, they said, let's bring some of these celebrities from the show to Battle City to help, to give a more bigger berth. Because, and that's because Yu-Gi-Oh! At the time was still a very niche thing. When Duelist Kingdom happened, it was still very much a Japanese exclusive thing in the anime, and even in the world, because the card game came out in Japan much sooner than it came the rest of the world. Hence why there's like two different formats. There's like the OCG and then there's the TCG, because OCG is just exclusive to Japan, while TCG is just everywhere else. And also OCG has like a bunch of different rules. But with Battle City not only is when Yu-Gi-Oh! Kind of became more bigger and more well-known around the world, but also in a meta context, Battle City is where Yu-Gi-Oh! Got really, really popular with everyone. Like, when people think of Yu-Gi-Oh!, they don't think of Duelist Kingdom, because it's like, literally just make stuff up. Like I said, Attack the Moon, or better yet, the time when Yugi has Gaia the Dragon Champion attack the Castle Dark Illusion's flotation ring. Why haven't we had a card about that yet? Oh, I don't know why we don't have a card about card based off that again. That would be hilarious. But Yu-Gi-Oh! Not Duelist Kingdom, Battle City is when Yu-Gi-Oh! Got its full identity. At the rules set up, they got basically everything going on. More concrete story. Merrick's a great villain. Pegasus is good too, but, people like, if you had to choose between Merrick and Pegasus, people would prefer Merrick. We got some of the best duels. We had some really good character development. We had some really badass moments, like the introduction of the Dark Magician Girl. Simping. Just kidding. We had some really, it's just what people go to. If you ask anyone to rank all the arcs from the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime, number one will always be Battle City. It will always be Battle City because it's the thing that established Yu-Gi-Oh! As it is. And I like the meta context of it. It's like, oh, we want to air this to places around the world, but we don't know. But we want to like show some people, some celebrities that other people may not know. Let's bring in these total drama contestants. Ta-da! Now there are people around the world that they can tune in and watch and be able to understand. I like that idea. It's such a sort of meta idea that will only work in this type of story. Because if it was like, I don't know, Yu-Gi-Oh! And Legend of Zelda, there was an actual Yu-Gi-Oh! Legend of Zelda where like Zelda, Link, and Ganondorf were like Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards. That didn't work. I didn't like that. But the way Dizzy May combined the two worlds in not only a very creative way, but a very meta way, because of, you know, if you know the context and the background behind how Yu-Gi-Oh! Got popular, and with Battle City, it becomes so much more, and that's what I actually wanted to talk about. Well, I guess I'm talking about it now, like the crossover, and even then, the story itself was good, as far as I remember. It was split into two parts. There was the Battle City part where it was okay. It was like, There's really only one duel worth talking about now is the Loomis and Umbra duel, where instead of Loomis and Umbra versus Kaiba and Yugi, it's Loomis and Umbra versus Kaiba and Gwen. Gwen takes, like, Yugi's place. And then you have the Battle City Finals, which is just phenomenal. I think, pound per pound, the entirety of the Battle City Finals was some of the most entertaining stuff I've ever read in any fanfiction ever. Like, it was immaculate. Like, that was very entertaining, especially what she does with Kaiba and Gwen. I just love it. I love how the author wrote Kaiba and Gwen. Those two, it was just entertaining, just 100% entertaining. And this video is going to be mainly for her. I honestly hope this story comes back. I would love to see a revamped version of Total Drama Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, I can even picture, like, and I know this may be fan service, but I would love to see all of their duels, because in the first half of Total Drama Yu-Gi-Oh!, the original, all the duels with the Total Drama contestants, it's always at the end. The only full duel in the Battle City before the finals that we see of them is the tag duel. So we don't really see a full duel between them. And I actually think that's actually kind of creative. Instead of just showing the entire duel, you just see the end, how they win. But then you have like the tag duel that makes it stand out. Oh, and the duel between Gwen and Trent, but that one doesn't count because of stuff that happened in the story that I can't really remember what specifically happens with that. But yeah, what I think, and this is just, I honestly think the author should just go full ham with this. And if the author rewrites this, what I think should happen is we see a bunch of cameos from other Yu-Gi-Oh! Original characters. I honestly think that would be a really cool idea, because there's a bunch of Yu-Gi-Oh! Original characters that you could probably just throw in like a cameo. Like, every single duel that the contestants fight, it's basically a cameo from a character from another story. I will be upfront. And it's mostly because I want to see a character named Shayla, who is a blind duelist. I want to see her come back, because the author hasn't written anything, and I mean Shayla's probably right there. Not to mention other things need to happen. Like, you need to give them like reasons for them to want to duel. I think, okay, speculation time. If she writes this, what I think would be best is the first official duel in the story of the Battle City tournament would be a Gwen duel, because I think it'd be a great bookends, because the finals of Battle City is Yugi versus Gwen. And spoiler, Yugi wins that because, Yugi is the king of games. Even though he promises Gwen not to use the gods. I know that much. Like, Yugi wins, they make a promise before the duel, no Egyptian gods, just have a fun duel, just go full out, just have fun. And I think it'd be a great idea to have the first duel be Gwen versus Shayla. Because, like I said, I like Shayla as a character. She wasn't in the original Total Drama Yu-Gi-Oh! But I like Shayla as a character too much that I want to see her back. I want to see the blind Yu-Gi-Oh! Duelist return with her Millennium Scales, allowing her to see in dire situations. Honestly, like Shayla, I'm gonna be talking about her story eventually. It's gonna be a while. But I will talk about her. But I like the idea of the blind duelist so much, especially since there's one aspect I didn't like is the fact that we never really got into Gwen as the main character because Gwen is the main character. She didn't really get a full character arc. There was a whole thing with Kaiba, but with her being the main character, her not getting a significant character arc. Granted, that kind of extends to pretty much all the Total Drama contestants. Like, if there's one thing I would do, it would be give them a character arc. And I think you can do that by having them duel someone, making them, and basically that connection, giving them the start of their own character. Like, why are they there? Like, sure, some of them may want to win money, but you can easily go with it by having Gwen be the winner of Island. So it's like, she's already a millionaire. She already has $1 million. She won't need it. She's just like, she's gonna learn new things, but she doesn't know why she's there. So have Gwen duel Shayla. Shayla gives her a purpose. Granted, I would actually like Shayla to actually be in the finals because, again, Shayla would technically have the Millennium Scales. Like, that's what happens in her story. It was given to her as a gift by her friend who passed away. More than likely, Shadi had something to do with it. That had something to do with her getting them scales. But it's fine. I just would love to see the story come back. It would be massive entertaining, and it would finally kick the final story off the original bucket list, and I really do want to talk about it. So thank you, Disney May, for writing this, because I really, really, really want to see this. And I want every one of my subscribers, to anyone who watches this, please support Disney May. Please help her. Please tell her it's like, we want this story. We want this great crossover. And if she does bring it back, I would be ecstatic. If she doesn't, I'll be bummed out. But ultimately, in the end of the day, it's her choice. I can't force her to do it. I can support her, but at the end, but still, it's her choice. If she doesn't do it, she doesn't do it. So yeah. This has been Dark Symphony 777, and